Today I've got an unboxing for you of a pair of boots from Rancourt Company, which I bought used on eBay and badly needed a resoling. I got a good price on them and I bought them with confidence knowing that Rancourt had an excellent resoling and rebuilding program where they pretty much give you a new midsole, a new sole, and refurbish them as to the extent possible for, I believe it was $125. So I have about 180 into these so far, and if I were to buy them new, which they're not available anymore, they were a limited edition, they would be over $400. So again, less than half price, which is the way I like to buy boots. Anyway, Rancourt Company, made in Maine. I sent these boots in, and 2 weeks later I got them back, and let's open them and take a look. They came in this beautiful retail box, which I did not have. They did not come from the eBay seller in a box. And here we are. Well, these are spectacular, and what they were was a limited edition. This was from 2016, where they did their version of the N1 Boondocker combat boot that was issued to the United States Navy and the United States Marine Corps servicemen back during World War II. And they're a very popular boot style these days. Lots of people do their version of them. And Rancourt came up with this. Like I say, these are now a 10-year-old boot. They were in very good shape when I got them. I was very happy with them. And as you can see, they just have a nice patina on them. They've darkened quite a bit from when they were new. They were originally a little bit more of a tan. I believe this is a natural, undyed Horween rough out Chrome XL leather, which is exactly the leather and the tannery that was used by the United States military contract. And Horween supplied all the leather for the N1 Boondocker boot, as well as the very closely related M43 Army boot. The only difference between the two is the last. The Army boots were based on the Munson last, which has got a much wider toe box and a little bit shorter, stubbier tip of the toe. These, with the pointed toe, this last that Rancourt based this boot on, is much closer to the N1. And the N1s just look a little sleeker, a little more stylish. The Army boots look a little bit more like an Army boot. They were made for marching, and so they took particular care to make sure that they were built on as comfortable a last as possible. And dozens of American shoe shops in the 40s made these shoes. It's interesting to see the differences between them. Some had a little rivet right here and right here. Most didn't. Some had toe caps, although I don't think I've ever seen an N1 Boondocker with a toe cap. But they're all made of this rough out leather, which is sort of like suede on steroids. Rough out leather is leather that the tan side, in other words, the nappy flesh side, is out on the outside of the boot, which gives it that suede-ish appearance. And then it's full grain leather on the inside. These are a little hard to see because these were completely lined with a nice calf skin, which is not the way the originals were made. The originals were unlined because they just wanted to crank them out as quick as possible. And these are really a luxury item. I mean, Rancourt's detailing in these is spectacular. And to fully line them is really the icing on the cake in terms of just a wonderfully made boot. You can see, I believe, a little bit here. If you see the inside of the heel loop, how that's full grain leather, and on the outside of it is the rough out flesh side. So it's just simply reversed leather. When you buy a pair of boots that are unlined, this suede flesh out side is what's on the inside, and then the full grain leather is on the outside. They've reversed them for this boot because it helps with scuff resistance, which is really important with a combat boot or any work boot. They don't show scars, they don't show cuts. I've got too many pairs of boots where that nice full grain leather just got carved up and sliced off the toe when I hit something or rubbed it against something. These, they're just going to shrug it right off. They would have been originally, when the soldiers were issued them, they would have looked more or less like this, except lighter. As I say, these have 10 years of nice darkened patina on them. It's really just a gorgeous, gorgeous color right now. The soldiers would have put on what's called dubbing, and dubbing is similar to Hubbard shoe grease or even snow seal, except it had oils and wax in it. And it basically turned the boots black, but it provided a lot of water protection. And so they would have rubbed this goo on them and turned them black. But as they wore them during their service, they would have slowly worn off that wax coating. And unless they continued to reapply it, it eventually would go back to more or less this flesh, nappy look, which, if they didn't really need the waterproofing, they would just generally leave them like that. I suspect the Marines, when they were island hopping, and the photos, period photos, do bear this out, that the Marines that used these on the invasion of Guadalcanal and Palau and all the horrible island hopping battles on these basically just coral rocks in the middle of the Pacific, they wouldn't have really needed waterproof too much, and so they probably would have just let them go back to the original rough out, and that's what the photos seem to show. You don't see a lot of heavily dubbed or waxed and service boots on the feet of Marines fighting in the Pacific. My father fought in the Pacific with the U.S. Army, but he went into service because he was a National Guardsman. He went into service in 1942 before Pearl Harbor. The Guard was called up, and he's sent to New Guinea with the 32nd Division, part of MacArthur's army that was intended to deter the Japanese from invading, from using New Guinea as a stepping stone to invade Australia. And he would have been issued a very different boot. He would have been issued really what was more or less a man's dress boot. It's the M42, and it was not rough out leather. These came a little bit later in the war, the Army version in 43 and the Navy version about the same time, Navy and Marine version. So it's a wonderful, wonderful take on a classic, storied, heritage American military boot. And they did a great job with it. As you can see, it's fully lined. They put a new insole in it for me. Beautiful new soles. The original soles that were so beat up were similar to these, but not exactly the same. They don't actually carry the original soles anymore, but they're both made by a French company called Lactae Hevia. And Lactae Hevia is a French company that makes boots from 100% pure latex resin. And so these are 100% natural rubber from latex. And they pour the liquid latex into molds, and they cure them and make them, dry them out, and they are extremely soft, extremely comfortable to walk on, and just a wonderful premium product. But they also have the luggy sort of Vibram style sole, although it's kind of a mini lug. I guess I would call that a mini lug, although it's right on the edge. It's not real thick. A lot of that thickness that you see there is nice thick midsole and this thick welt. So I'm really thrilled with the job they did. They did a beautiful job resoling them. They really look like new. They're the best of both worlds. They're broken in. They have that great 10-year-old patina, but they're essentially brand new boots. So I highly recommend looking on eBay for quality boots that have seen better days and that need a little bit of work, and then research and find out if the company will rebuild them or resole them, and then, spend 40, 50, 60, 70 bucks on them, and then send them in, and for about $100, $125, you can get back a brand new boot that would cost you $400 to $500 on the street. So it's a great way to just maximize the value of your shopping and to get some really high quality heritage brands at a very reasonable price. Now, let's take a closer look at what we got. These, I don't like these. These are way too short. I mean, that's about what you want right there. And as you can see, it's still got one eyelet and 3 of the speed hooks to go. So that's at least 12 inches too short. I'm not sure why they do that. I did ask them for some new shoelaces, and this is what they gave me. I mean, I guess you could wear them like that. That would be the only explanation I could find, is that you'd wear them and you'd never tie them up all the way. But as you can see from the tongue, whoever had them before definitely seems to have laced them right up. So I don't know what's going on there, but I'm just going to go into a little fast forward here and put on a pair of laces that I prefer, that I bought just for these boots. And there we go. Now that's a lot better. You see, you've got plenty of extra lace here to go all the way up, and still have plenty to tie it. Just a few words about Rancourt. I've done videos about Quaddy, which is another Lewiston, Maine moccasin hand sewer, shoe manufacturer, boot manufacturer. Quaddy and Rancourt are the two really leading Lewiston manufacturers of boots. And then now Origin has come into town and started making hand-sewn boots as well, which is interesting that a new shoe company would actually come and expand into Lewiston, Maine. Lewiston's been losing manufacturing for many, many years. And to have a company come in and start a new shoe shop is just a great thing. So I'm really happy that Origin came in, and I hope people support their products as well. But Rancourt and Quaddy are the old. I think Quaddy was founded in the 40s, and Rancourt has been making shoes in Lewiston since 1967. So these are really well established, last bastions of American craftsmanship when it comes to making shoes and boots. And these are just a wonderful example of kind of an almost improved upon N1 Boondocker. The original Boondockers had those real hard soles that were made out of rubber with hemp or jute string mixed in with the rubber when it was being molded. I don't know why. They probably in an attempt to make them a little bit softer, but I've had shoes and boots from that era. The rubber was never soft, and it only got harder with age. But the cushioning that's provided by these 100% latex rubber soles is unsurpassed. It's just such a better product, and really, really comfortable to wear and really soft on the feet. Unfortunately, the original soles were no longer available, so they were forced to substitute these luggy soles. I like the luggy soles just fine. They're actually a lot more practical than the originals. I suspect there may have been some other problems with the originals, which caused the situation that led to these having to be resoled as well. The big chunks that were falling out and the crumbling. But it's not the most durable sole, and it's not meant to be. It's supposed to be super comfortable, and it's going to last me plenty of time. And if I do end up wearing these out, which I very well may do, they may go back to Rancourt for a second resoling. So Again, I can't speak highly enough about Rancourt, a great Maine heritage boot manufacturer and shoe manufacturer. I highly recommend you take a look at their website, and there'll be a link below the description. Please, if you've enjoyed this video, click like and subscribe to my video. I'll be putting out videos at least once a week on boots, shoes, clothes, all sorts of men's fashion and lifestyle topics, all on the art of gracious living. Thank you.